Alright, so this is Tesla Now here, and I'm going to be talking about the 3,000 mile road trip that we did in this Tesla Model 3 long range dual motor. Alright, going upstairs to better lighting. In case if you don't think this is possible for whatever reason, like charging, or you think you can only go 300 miles, that is completely incorrect. So basically we went all the way to Chicago from Florida and all the way back, and we went through Missouri. On our road trip, we did not use the aero wheel covers. We took off the aero wheel covers. They look ugly, and lift-off wheel covers, which you can see being installed in this video up here. Those wheel covers just are a lot better. So basically going up to Louisville, Kentucky, there was no inconveniences. And there were no chargers at our hotel, so we had to go to a supercharger. That was fine, because normally what you do in these situations is there's not a charger, so what you do, you charge like up to full at the last supercharger before your destination. That way when you get to your destination, you have as much percentage as possible. And then there was no outlet there, so we had to make it that whole time. And then you stop at the closest supercharger to where you're staying. And normally that gives you plenty of range. And we had the car on dog mode. Okay, so basically we needed dog mode for this dog. Her name is Ella. And basically, here she is. She needed to stay nice and cool in the car. So when we were in Louisville, we were using that a lot because we went on some tours of some stuff there, and she couldn't go because she's a dog, and she got to stay in the car in the nice cool temperatures. And that was before the issue with dog mode happened, but that's irrelevant. So that was very helpful. So after Louisville, we drove about 30 minutes north, and we still had plenty of charge. And then we stayed overnight at a hotel, and then we went all the way to Chicago in that next day, which basically was a pretty long road trip. So in Chicago, we had a place to charge, and we were there for a few days, probably around 3 days. And you really, if you're going to someone's place that you know, I would not worry about running out of energy, because when you're plugged into a wall outlet, you know, you're going to be going in their car, or you're going to be Ubering places, and your car is just going to be sitting there a lot of the time. So it's definitely will charge up in a few days, and if you just leave it plugged into the wall. So after Chicago, we went back down south, and our destination was Peoria, Illinois. And basically in Peoria, Illinois, we did not have access to a 120 outlet. We did, but we didn't use that because right across the street there was a charger that was a Tesla destination charger. So basically we plugged it in there before we went to bed, and then we walked back, and that was all charged up by the next morning, and that was very helpful. And then we drove all the way to Quincy, Missouri after that, and we got some pretty bad efficiency then. We were getting like, well, just for context, the whole trip we were getting 290 watt-hours a mile, mainly because we had the air conditioner blasting, and because we didn't use those aero wheel covers. And if you don't use the aero wheel covers, it really does cut down on efficiency, and even worse, if you have a side wind, it will destroy your efficiency. So we used a lot more energy than anticipated that day, but we still made it fine. And then we got to a place where we could park the car in a garage, and we stayed there for about a week, and that was in Quincy, Missouri. Charging was never an issue there. And then after that, we went south into some random town. I don't remember exactly the name of it. I'm gonna let the dog go. Okay, so then we went about 2 hours south, I believe, into some random town. There were no chargers. And this was probably the scariest point in the whole trip, because we knew our efficiency wasn't very good. We had to go, I believe it was like 50 miles to the next supercharger, And we were gonna go 20 miles north because we had to visit someone before we left. So we went 20 miles north, 20 miles back. We only had 100 miles in the beginning. So basically, that night before we knew, you know what, we might not make it. So then we charged the car up to 160 miles over that night. So we got 60 miles overnight. And we made it fine. Like, most of our charging stops were actually an hour because we stopped and we ate food, and then we normally like went 2 superchargers and then got to that one. But just so you know, quickest way to go is stop at every single supercharger, wait till it gets up to 30% to the next charger, and then just go like every single time. Continue driving south, and then we did make it all the way back to our hotel, and our hotel had a destination charger, which was very cool. There's a Model S P100D there. And then we went, from there, we went all the way back to Florida, all the way back to where we are now. And we stopped probably 2 or 3 times that last day, and then we made it back. So normally, like, we should have, if we wanted to be fast, we could have stopped 15 minutes, go to the bathroom, and just stop at every single charger, which is by far the fastest way to do it. But it took us a bit longer because we had to wait an hour at each one, just because we were eating, and why not? So you can definitely go on a 3,000-mile road trip in a Tesla. And when we were in Quincy, Missouri, there were no chargers within 90 miles. So you just got to think about that. That's literally in the middle of nowhere. We took the Tesla where no one's taken a Tesla before, probably. Like, of course, there's been some people, but it's very rare that people... Like, we did not see any Teslas there at all. The whole time. There's no destination chargers. There's just nothing. So, basically, it's completely possible to have a Tesla in the middle of nowhere. To even just living with one. You could buy a Tesla 90 miles away from any supercharger, and you would be fine. The closest supercharger to this house is 4.2 miles. We will never go to that supercharger ever for any reason, because at your home you're just charging every day. So you never need to worry about where superchargers are in your area. Like, if there's not a supercharger within 100 miles, it really doesn't affect you at all, because you're just going to be charged up all the time anyways. As for the driving experience, I couldn't drive it because I can't drive. But basically, autopilot worked really well. There was no near crashes experiences. It took the on exits and off exits just as it says it would, and it didn't prevent any crashes or anything like that, but it probably would have if it was a problem. And in Chicago, when the roads were really tight and there was like a huge amount of traffic, it dealt with that pretty well. And also, one other thing, in Chicago, we parked in front of another identical Tesla Model 3, other than that one. Had different wheels, different interior, but it was the same paint. And I think it was badge on the back, but I'm not sure of that. And then also in Chicago, we took the Tesla to the Sears Tower, and it was pretty cool. There's no one around. We went all the way to the top of the Sears Tower, and we actually got a photo of the Tesla from the top of the Sears Tower, which was pretty cool. Oh, and also, we had 1,000 free supercharging miles from getting the Tesla. And if you want to add some more supercharging miles, you can click this right here, and this is the Tesla referral code, and I would highly recommend that. And that will give you, right now, it'll give you 1,000 extra miles. Basically, we did most of this trip for free with the charging. So we only spent like $20 or $30 total on all the charging combined that we had to pay for. But it was the last day, I'm pretty sure, when we had to start paying for it. So overall, you should get a Tesla for road trips. You know, I'm not going to be one of the Tesla people who just say, oh, it's just as easy as a gas car to go on a road trip in a Tesla. The fact is it's not. But don't think that you have to sit down and think about it either. Like, it takes longer, but it's not really much more inconvenient. Especially if you stop at every stop, because you're going to go to the bathroom anyways. So, but you do have to think about it every so often. And, you know, it's not a good reason to not get the car, because 15 minutes isn't that long to charge to get to the next station. I forgot to say, the Tesla cam feature was really great because we always have the dash cam running. We did see a few interesting things. We saw a piece of wood in the middle of the road, which could have done damage to the car, but we avoided it. And we just also recorded some random stuff too that was interesting. A bird hit the car, but that was before we got the camera working on the road trips. In the beginning we didn't have it, but I think a bird hit the windshield. Everything was fine, but we didn't get that on camera because the Tesla cam was not functioning at that time. Another last minute thing, we also drove through some windmills, which were pretty cool, and it's just cool to see energy like that. Other than solar panels are way cooler and more useful than windmills, but that's a whole nother video. So, thanks for watching this video. Subscribe, like, and always remember, Tesla now, do not wait.